Hello, my dear English learners. Welcome back to English Practice with Julia. I'm Julia, and I'm truly so happy that you're here with me today. If this is your first time joining one of our lessons, welcome. Please feel comfortable here. You don't need perfect English to learn with me. You only need curiosity, a little patience, and the willingness to practice step by step. And I promise, I'll guide you gently through everything. We upload new English learning lessons regularly, so you always have a place to practice, listen, and grow your confidence little by little. Today, I want you to imagine something simple. Imagine that we are sitting together, maybe with a warm cup of tea or coffee, having a relaxed English conversation. There is no pressure here, no rush, and absolutely no fear of mistakes, because mistakes are not a problem. They are part of learning, and every learner makes them. In today's lesson, we are going to focus on something that can completely transform your English listening and speaking ability. We are going to practice something called shadowing. Shadowing is one of the most powerful techniques for learning English naturally, and many language learners around the world use it every day to improve their listening, their pronunciation, and their confidence when speaking. If you have ever felt like you understand some English, but when people speak quickly, it becomes difficult to follow. Or if you feel that your mouth and your brain don't work together when you try to speak, then this lesson will really help you, because shadowing trains your ears, your brain, and your voice at the same time. Think of shadowing like walking behind someone and copying their steps. When you practice shadowing in English, you listen carefully to a sentence, and then you repeat it, trying to follow the rhythm, the pronunciation, and the natural flow of the language. Slowly, your brain begins to recognize patterns, your ears become sharper, and your speech becomes smoother and more natural. But don't worry. Today we will practice in a calm and simple way. We will start with very clear and natural sentences about daily life, the kind of English you might hear when people talk about their morning, their work, their plans, or their daily routines. And little by little, you will begin to notice how English flows in real conversations. During this lesson, I will guide you through many listening moments, many speaking moments, and many shadowing exercises. Sometimes I will say a sentence first, then you will repeat it. Sometimes I will explain the meaning. And sometimes I will simply allow you to listen and feel the rhythm of the language. If you want to get the best results from this lesson, you may want to grab a pen and paper. Writing small notes, phrases, or new expressions can help your memory. But remember, this is optional. The most important thing today is listening carefully, relaxing, and allowing your brain to absorb the sounds of English naturally. Also remember something very important. You do not need to understand every single word perfectly the first time. That is not how language learning works. Instead, focus on the general meaning, the rhythm, and the feeling of the sentence. Over time, your understanding will grow naturally. By the end of our time together today, you will notice that listening to English feels a little easier. Repeating sentences feels a little more comfortable, and most importantly, you will feel more confident practicing English on your own. Before we begin our practice, I have a small request. If you enjoy learning English with me, please consider subscribing to the channel and turning on the notification bell. This way, you will never miss a new lesson, and you can continue improving your English a little every day. Thank you so much for being here with me. Truly, it means a lot. All right, now take a comfortable breath, relax your shoulders, clear your mind for a moment, and get ready to listen carefully. We are about to begin our English shadowing practice, slowly, clearly, and together. Sometimes when people begin learning English, they focus mostly on grammar rules or vocabulary lists. And while those things are useful, they are not the only things your brain needs to become comfortable with English. Your ears also need training. Your brain needs to become familiar with how real English sounds when people speak naturally. The rhythm, the pauses, the linking of words, the little sounds that connect sentences together. This is why listening practice is so important. And shadowing practice is one of the best ways to train your listening ability while also improving your speaking at the same time. Think about how children learn language. When a child learns to speak, they do not sit with a grammar book. They simply listen, again and again. They hear the same sounds every day. They hear conversations around them, and slowly their brain begins to recognize patterns. Eventually, they begin to copy those sounds. At first, the words are not perfect, but the brain keeps adjusting. And little by little, the child becomes more fluent. Shadowing practice works in a very similar way. You listen, you repeat, and your brain slowly builds stronger connections with the language. Many learners tell me something interesting. They say, "Julia, I can read English pretty well, but when people speak fast, I get lost." If this has ever happened to you, please know that you are not alone. This is one of the most common experiences for English learners. The reason is simple. Reading uses your eyes, but listening uses your ears and your brain together. And if the brain is not used to hearing English regularly, the sounds can feel confusing at first. But the wonderful thing is that your brain can learn, and it can learn faster than you might think, especially when you practice consistently. Now imagine something simple. Imagine you are standing in a quiet park in the morning. The air is fresh. Birds are singing somewhere nearby. And you are taking a slow walk. While you walk, you begin to listen to someone speaking English beside you. They speak calmly, slowly, and clearly. You listen to their words, and then you gently repeat what they say, not loudly, just enough so that your mouth begins to form the same sounds. This simple activity is very close to what shadowing practice feels like. It is calm, relaxed, and surprisingly powerful. So today, we will begin with very simple daily life English, the type of sentences people say in normal conversations. You will first listen in your mind as you read the sentence. Then you will imagine repeating it after me. Try to copy the rhythm, the flow, and the natural pauses. Remember that perfection is not important right now. The goal is simply to train your ears and your voice to move together. Let's begin with a simple situation. Imagine it is early morning. You wake up and start your day. Listen to this sentence carefully in your mind. I woke up early this morning and made a cup of coffee. Now gently repeat it to yourself. Slowly. I woke up early this morning and made a cup of coffee. Notice how the sentence flows. The words connect together. Early this morning. Made a cup of coffee. These are very common phrases that native speakers use every day. Now, let's try another one. Imagine someone asking you about your morning. You might say something like this. I woke up a little tired today, but the fresh air helped me feel better. Repeat it slowly. I woke up a little tired today, but the fresh air helped me feel better. Listen to the rhythm of the sentence. Tired today. Fresh air helped me feel better. When you shadow sentences like this, your brain begins to remember how natural English moves from one word to the next. Let's continue with another example from daily life. Imagine you are preparing breakfast. Perhaps the kitchen is quiet. Sunlight is coming through the window, and you are making something simple to eat. You might say, this morning I decided to make eggs and toast because I wanted something quick. Repeat it calmly. This morning I decided to make eggs and toast because I wanted something quick. Notice how the sentence has a gentle rhythm. This morning I decided. Eggs and toast. Something quick. Sometimes shadowing also helps you understand emotions inside sentences. For example, imagine someone speaking about their morning mood. They might say, at first, I felt a little sleepy, but after my coffee, I felt much more awake. Repeat slowly. At first, I felt a little sleepy, but after my coffee, I felt much more awake. Pay attention to how the sentence changes energy from the beginning to the end. Sleepy, then awake. This kind of listening helps your brain understand meaning and feeling together. Now let's imagine another small moment from daily life. Perhaps you look outside your window in the morning and the weather is beautiful. You might say something like, when I looked outside, I saw the sun shining and it made me feel peaceful. Repeat gently. When I looked outside, I saw the sun shining and it made me feel peaceful. This type of sentence appears often in everyday English, or describing what we see and how it makes us feel. Shadowing becomes even more powerful when you practice many small sentences like this. Your brain begins to collect patterns. For example, phrases like, I woke up early. I decided to make breakfast. I looked outside. These patterns appear again and again in real conversations, and the more you hear them, the more natural they feel. Let's continue our practice with another short daily situation. Imagine you are leaving your home to start the day. Maybe you're going to work, school, or running errands. You might say something like, before leaving the house, I checked my phone to see if I had any messages. Repeat slowly. Before leaving the house, I checked my phone to see if I had any messages. Notice the smooth connection between the words. Before leaving the house, checked my phone, see if I had any messages. Now imagine you step outside and the morning air feels cool. You might describe that moment like this. The morning air felt cool and fresh, so I took a deep breath and started walking. Repeat gently. The morning air felt cool and fresh, so I took a deep breath and started walking. Sentences like this help train your listening to longer phrases, and your mouth becomes more comfortable producing natural English sounds. At this moment, something interesting is happening inside your brain. Every time you listen carefully and repeat a sentence, your brain strengthens the connection between sound and meaning. Slowly, these connections become automatic. This is why shadowing is such an effective technique. Instead of translating in your head, your brain begins to understand English directly through sound. Many learners notice that after practicing shadowing for a few weeks, something surprising happens. They begin to recognize English phrases much faster. When they watch a movie, listen to a podcast, or hear someone speaking, their brain quickly says, "Ah, I know that phrase." And suddenly, listening becomes less stressful and much more enjoyable. Let's continue our practice with another everyday moment. Imagine you arrive at a small cafe in the morning. The smell of coffee fills the air, and you greet the person at the counter. You might say, "Good morning. I'd like a cup of coffee and maybe a small sandwich." Repeat slowly. "Good morning. I'd like a cup of coffee and maybe a small sandwich." This sentence is simple, but extremely common in real life. Now imagine sitting down with that coffee, taking a quiet moment before starting the rest of the day. You might say something like, "I like sitting here for a few minutes before my day becomes busy." Repeat gently. "I like sitting here for a few minutes before my day becomes busy." Sentences like this train your ears to recognize natural conversation patterns. As you continue listening and repeating these sentences, remember something important. Progress in language learning often happens quietly. You may not notice big changes immediately, but each small practice session builds stronger listening skills, stronger pronunciation, and stronger confidence. Just like exercising a muscle, the brain grows stronger with repetition. So for now, simply relax, listen carefully, repeat slowly, and enjoy the rhythm of the language. Little by little, English will begin to feel more natural to you. As you continue this practice with me, try to notice something very simple but very important. Your listening improves not only when you understand every word, but when your ears become familiar with the natural music of English. Every language has its own rhythm, its own melody. And when learners begin to recognize this rhythm, listening becomes easier and speaking becomes smoother. This is exactly what shadowing practice helps you develop: a natural connection between hearing and speaking. Imagine another quiet moment in daily life. Perhaps you are walking through your neighborhood in the morning. The streets are calm. A few people are beginning their day. You notice someone walking their dog. Another person opening a small shop, and you might quietly describe what you see. The neighborhood is still quiet, but people are slowly starting their day. Repeat this sentence slowly. The neighborhood is still quiet now, but people are slowly starting their day. Notice how the sentence moves naturally from one idea to another. Neighborhood is still quiet. People are slowly starting their day. Now imagine you continue walking and you greet someone you know, maybe a neighbor or a friend. You smile and say something simple. Good morning. It's a beautiful day today, isn't it? Repeat calmly. Good morning. It's a beautiful day today, isn't it? Sentences like this are very common in everyday English conversations. They are short, friendly, and natural. The other person might respond with something like this. Yes, it really is. The weather feels perfect this morning. Repeat slowly. Yes, it really is. The weather feels perfect this morning. Pay attention to how English speakers often connect ideas with small natural pauses. This rhythm helps listeners understand the message clearly. Let's continue this small daily conversation. Imagine the person asks you about your plans. They might say, "Do you have a busy day ahead of you?" Repeat slowly. Do you have a busy day ahead of you? Now, imagine your response. You might say, I have a few things to do today, but nothing too stressful. Repeat gently. I have a few things to do today, but nothing too stressful. Notice how the sentence balances information and emotion. A few things to do. Nothing too stressful. All right. Shadowing sentences like these trains your brain to recognize patterns of conversation. Over time, you will begin to predict how sentences continue. For example, when someone says, I have a few things to do today, your brain naturally expects more information about those activities. This ability to anticipate meaning is a key skill in listening comprehension. Let's imagine another simple situation. Perhaps you arrive at work or school. People are beginning their tasks, and someone asks you how your morning was. You might say, My morning was pretty calm. I had time to relax before coming here. Repeat slowly. My morning was pretty calm. I had time to relax before coming here. This type of sentence is very common when describing your day. Or another person might respond with their own experience. They could say, That sounds nice. My morning was a little busy, but everything went well. Repeat gently. That sounds nice. My morning was a little busy, but everything went well. Sentences like this help you practice listening to positive and neutral emotions in English speech. Now let's slow down for a moment and focus carefully on pronunciation rhythm. When native speakers talk, they often connect words together smoothly. For example, listen to this sentence in your mind. I was thinking about taking a short walk later. Repeat slowly. I was thinking about taking a short walk later. Notice how thinking about flows together. and short walk later forms a smooth sound pattern. Let's practice another one with a similar rhythm. After lunch, I might spend some time reading a book. Repeat slowly. After lunch, I might spend some time reading a book. Sentences like this appear very often in natural conversations. They describe simple daily plans, and they train your brain to follow longer phrases comfortably. Now imagine a different moment in your day. Maybe it is afternoon. The sunlight is softer, and you are taking a small break. You might say something like, "This afternoon feels peaceful. I'm glad I have a few minutes to rest." Repeat gently. This afternoon feels peaceful. I'm glad I have a few minutes to rest. Notice how the sentence expresses both observation and feeling at the same time. Sometimes shadowing practice also helps you improve your confidence when expressing thoughts. For example, imagine you are talking with a friend about your plans for the evening. You might say, "Later tonight, I plan to cook something simple and relax at home." Repeat slowly. Later tonight, I plan to cook something simple and relax at home. Sentences like this help you practice describing plans clearly and naturally. Now imagine the conversation continues. Your friend might respond with curiosity. They could say, "That sounds relaxing. What are you thinking of cooking?" Repeat gently. "That sounds relaxing. What are you thinking of cooking?" Notice how the sentence invites further conversation. Also, this is very common in everyday communication. You might answer with something like, "I'm thinking about making pasta because it's easy and comforting." Repeat slowly. I'm thinking about making pasta because it's easy and comforting. The phrase "I'm thinking about" is extremely common in spoken English, and shadowing it many times will help it become natural in your speech. Let's continue expanding this conversation a little further. Your friend might say, "That sounds delicious. I love simple meals like that." Repeat gently. "That sounds delicious. I love simple meals like that." Notice how English speakers often express agreement or shared feelings during conversation. Now imagine the conversation shifts slightly. After perhaps you start talking about your day overall. You might say something reflective like, "Today has been a good day so far. Everything feels calm and balanced." Repeat slowly. Today has been a good day so far. Everything feels calm and balanced. Sentences like this help learners practice expressing emotional tone in English. Shadowing these kinds of sentences is extremely helpful because it trains your ears to understand meaning through rhythm and context. When you hear words like "so far," "balanced," or "relaxing," your brain begins to connect them with emotional situations. Over time, this makes listening much easier. Let's practice another daily life moment. Imagine the evening is approaching. The sky is changing colors, and you are finishing your tasks for the day. You might say quietly, "The evening is coming slowly, and I'm starting to feel more relaxed." Repeat gently. "The evening is coming slowly, and I'm starting to feel more relaxed." Notice the smooth pacing of the sentence. Coming slowly. Starting to feel more relaxed. Another sentence might describe your reflection about the day. When I think about today, I realize how important small, peaceful moments are. Repeat slowly. When I think about today, I realize how important small, peaceful moments are. Sentences like this train your listening for longer, thoughtful ideas. At this point in the lesson, your ears are becoming more comfortable with the rhythm of English, and your voice is slowly adjusting to the natural sound patterns. Remember that this process works best when you stay relaxed. There is no need to rush. Simply listen, repeat, and allow your brain to absorb the language naturally. Let's continue with another short shadowing practice. Imagine you are preparing to end your day. You might say something simple like, "Before going to bed, I like to think about the good things that happened today." Repeat slowly. Before going to bed, I like to think about the good things that happened today. This sentence contains several natural English patterns that appear often in conversations. Now, one more gentle sentence to practice. Every day is a new chance to learn something and improve a little. Repeat calmly. Every day is a new chance to learn something and improve a little. This kind of sentence reminds us that language learning is a gradual journey, and every small practice moment matters. So take a slow breath. Relax your shoulders again. And remember that your listening skills are growing with each sentence you hear and repeat. You are training your brain step by step. And the more you practice shadowing like this, the more comfortable English will begin to feel. As we continue our listening journey together, I want you to remember something very encouraging. Listening is a skill that grows quietly. So, sometimes learners feel frustrated because they think progress should happen quickly. But the truth is that your brain is constantly learning in the background. Every sentence you hear, every phrase you repeat, every small moment of practice strengthens your understanding little by little. Shadowing practice simply helps your brain build these connections faster and more naturally. Let's imagine another small moment from daily life. Perhaps it is later in the afternoon. You are walking through a small street in your town. The air feels calm. You hear distant sounds of people talking, maybe a bicycle passing by, and you quietly think about your day. You might say something like, "The afternoon feels peaceful, and I'm enjoying this quiet walk." Repeat slowly. "The afternoon feels peaceful, and I'm enjoying this quiet walk." Notice how the sentence flows smoothly. Afternoon feels peaceful, enjoying this quiet walk. Now imagine you meet a friend during this walk. The friend smiles and asks a simple question. "Hey, how has your day been so far?" Repeat gently. "Hey, how has your day been so far?" This is a very common question in everyday conversations. It invites a relaxed response and often begins friendly discussions. You might answer in a calm way. "My day has been pretty good. I've been taking things slowly today." Repeat slowly. "My day has been pretty good. I've been taking things slowly today." Listen to how the sentence naturally connects two ideas. The day has been good, and you have been moving slowly through it. Your friend might respond with curiosity, perhaps saying, "That sounds nice. Sometimes slow days are the best ones." Repeat gently. "That sounds nice. Sometimes slow days are the best ones." Notice how English speakers often respond by sharing feelings or opinions. This helps conversations feel warm and natural. Let's imagine the conversation continues as you both walk together. Your friend might say, "Did you do anything interesting this morning?" Repeat slowly. "Did you do anything interesting this morning?" Now imagine your answer. You could say, "Nothing very exciting, but I enjoyed a calm breakfast and a little quiet time." Repeat gently, "Nothing very exciting, but I enjoyed a calm breakfast and a little quiet time." Shadowing sentences like these helps your brain understand natural conversational rhythm. English conversations are not always fast or complicated. Very often, they are simple, friendly, and full of everyday experiences. Now let's try another small situation. Imagine you stop at a small shop to buy something, perhaps a bottle of water or a snack. You approach the counter and greet the shopkeeper. You might say, "Hello, I was just looking for something refreshing to drink." Repeat slowly, "Hello, I was just looking for something refreshing to drink." This is a natural, polite sentence used in many real situations. The shopkeeper might reply with a friendly tone, "Of course, we have some cold drinks right here." Repeat gently, "Of course, we have some cold drinks right here." Notice how short and clear sentences often appear in everyday conversations. You might respond again, "Thank you. I think I'll take this one." Repeat slowly, "Thank you. I think I'll take this one." Sentences like this help train your listening to small but extremely common expressions. Now imagine leaving the shop and continuing your walk. Perhaps the sun is beginning to set. The sky is slowly turning orange and pink, and you notice the peaceful atmosphere around you. You might quietly describe that moment. "The sky looks beautiful this evening. The colors are soft and warm." Repeat gently, "The sky looks beautiful this evening. The colors are soft and warm." Listen to how the sentence paints a simple picture through language. Moments like this are perfect for practicing English thoughts in your mind. When you describe the world around you in English, your brain becomes more comfortable thinking in the language. And shadowing helps train the sound of those thoughts. Let's practice another calm reflection sentence. Imagine you are thinking about your day again. You might say, "Today reminded me that simple moments can bring a lot of happiness." Repeat slowly. Or today reminded me that simple moments can bring a lot of happiness. This sentence helps train your listening for slightly longer expressions. Now imagine you return home in the evening. You take off your shoes, sit down for a moment, and relax after the day. You might say something like, "It feels good to be home after a long day." Repeat gently, "It feels good to be home after a long day." This sentence is very common in natural speech and easy to remember. Perhaps you decide to prepare something small to eat. While standing in the kitchen, you might think, I'm a little hungry. Maybe I'll cook something simple. Repeat slowly. I'm a little hungry. Maybe I'll cook something simple. Or sentences like this appear frequently in everyday English conversations. Now imagine you call a friend or family member in the evening. They answer and ask you how you are doing. You might say, Hi, I just finished my day and I'm finally relaxing. Repeat gently, Hi, I just finished my day and I'm finally relaxing. Notice the relaxed tone of the sentence. Finish my day, finally relaxing. The other person might respond warmly. That sounds nice. You deserve some rest. Repeat slowly. That sounds nice. You deserve some rest. Phrases like, that sounds nice, and you deserve some rest appear very often in friendly conversations. Let's continue this small conversation. Your friend might ask another question. Did anything interesting happen today? Repeat gently. Did anything interesting happen today? Now imagine your answer. You might say, Nothing unusual happened, but the day felt calm and productive. Repeat slowly. Nothing unusual happened, but the day felt calm and productive. Shadowing sentences like this helps your brain recognize emotional descriptions in English. Words like calm, productive, relaxing, peaceful. These words often appear when people talk about their day. Now let's pause for a moment and do a slightly longer shadowing practice. Listen to this short reflection about daily life. Then repeat it slowly in your mind. Sometimes the best days are the quiet ones. The days when nothing dramatic happens, but you still feel peaceful and grateful for small moments. Now repeat slowly. Sometimes the best days are the quiet ones. The days when nothing dramatic happens, but you still feel peaceful and grateful for small moments. This kind of reflection sentence helps you practice listening to emotional storytelling in English. Many conversations include small reflections like this. Let's practice one more daily life reflection. Imagine sitting comfortably in the evening, maybe reading something or simply resting. You might say quietly, I like ending the day slowly. It helps my mind relax. Repeat gently. I like ending the day slowly. It helps my mind relax. As you continue practicing sentences like these, your listening ability becomes stronger because your brain starts recognizing familiar patterns. You begin to understand sentences faster, and repeating them becomes easier. Shadowing slowly transforms listening from something difficult into something natural. Remember that every learner improves at a different pace. Some days you may feel very confident. Other days you might feel a little slower. Both experiences are completely normal. The important thing is consistency. Even a short listening practice every day can create powerful results over time. So continue listening carefully. Repeat softly, and allow your brain to absorb the language step by step. Or you are building a strong foundation for English listening and speaking. And each sentence you practice brings you closer to natural fluency. As we move further into our practice together, I want you to notice how your ears are slowly becoming more comfortable with the sound of English. At the beginning of listening practice, many learners feel that sentences move too quickly. But after repeating sentences again and again, something interesting begins to happen. The sounds that once felt confusing begin to feel familiar. Your brain begins to recognize patterns, and your listening becomes calmer and more confident. Let's imagine another gentle moment in daily life. Perhaps it is early evening now. The sunlight is softer and the air feels cool. Wow, you decide to step outside for a short walk after finishing your work. As you walk slowly down the street, you might think quietly to yourself. The evening air feels refreshing after a busy day. Repeat slowly. The evening air feels refreshing after a busy day. Notice the natural rhythm of the sentence. Evening air feels refreshing after a busy day. Now imagine you meet a neighbor outside your building or house. They smile and greet you warmly. They might say, "Good evening, it's nice to see you out for a walk." Repeat gently, "Good evening, it's nice to see you out for a walk." Sentences like this appear often in everyday life, and they help you practice friendly conversation tone. You might respond in a relaxed way. "Yes, I needed a little fresh air after sitting inside all day." Repeat slowly. "Yes, I needed a little fresh air after sitting inside all day." Notice how the sentence explains both the situation and the reason. Needed fresh air. Sitting inside all day. Your neighbor might continue the conversation with curiosity, saying something like, "I understand that feeling. Sometimes a short walk makes everything better." Repeat gently. "I understand that feeling. Sometimes a short walk makes everything better." Listen to how the sentence flows naturally from empathy to advice. Let's continue imagining this small conversation. You might respond with agreement. "That's very true. Even a few minutes outside can clear your mind." Bausch, repeat slowly. "That's very true. Even a few minutes outside can clear your mind." Phrases like "that's very true" and "clear your mind" appear frequently in natural English conversation. Now imagine that as you continue walking, you notice the sky changing colors. Maybe the sun is beginning to set and the clouds reflect soft orange and pink light. You might quietly describe the scene. "The sky looks beautiful tonight. The colors are slowly fading into evening." Repeat gently. "The sky looks beautiful tonight. The colors are slowly fading into evening." Sentences like this help train your listening to descriptive language. Let's practice another sentence connected to this moment. Perhaps you pause for a second to enjoy the peaceful atmosphere. You might say, "Moments like this remind me to slow down and appreciate the day." Repeat slowly. "Moments like this remind me to slow down and appreciate the day." This type of sentence expresses reflection and feeling at the same time. Shadowing reflective sentences like these is very helpful for developing deeper listening comprehension. Because real conversations often include personal thoughts and emotions, not just simple information. Now imagine continuing your walk and seeing a small cafe nearby. People are sitting outside talking quietly. You might think about stopping for a warm drink. You could say, "I think I'll stop here for a cup of tea before going home." Repeat gently, "I think I'll stop here for a cup of tea before going home." The phrase "I think I'll" is very common in everyday English when making decisions. Imagine entering the cafe and greeting the person at the counter. You might say politely, "Hi, could I please have a cup of tea?" Repeat slowly. "Hi, could I please have a cup of tea?" This is a simple but very useful sentence for real-life communication. The person at the counter might respond kindly, "Of course, I'll prepare that for you right away." Repeat gently, "Of course, I'll prepare that for you right away." Notice the calm and helpful tone of the sentence. Now imagine sitting near the window with your tea, the warm cup in your hands, and the quiet evening atmosphere around you. You might think peacefully. This is a nice way to end the day. Repeat slowly. This is a nice way to end the day. Sentences like this are short but powerful for practicing natural pronunciation. Let's expand this reflection a little more. You might say something like, "I enjoy these quiet moments when I can relax and think about my day." Repeat gently, "I enjoy these quiet moments when I can relax and think about my day." Notice how the sentence flows smoothly through several ideas. Enjoy quiet moments. Relax. Think about the day. Now imagine you take a small sip of tea and look outside the window. People are walking slowly along the street. Cars pass quietly, and the lights of buildings begin to glow softly. You might describe the scene like this: "The city looks calm tonight. Everything feels peaceful." Repeat slowly. "The city looks calm tonight. Everything feels peaceful." Shadowing sentences that describe scenes around you helps train your listening for natural storytelling. Many conversations include small descriptions like these. Now let's practice a slightly longer shadowing passage. Listen carefully in your mind and then repeat slowly after reading. After a long day, it feels good to slow down and enjoy a quiet moment. Sometimes we spend so much time rushing from one task to another that we forget how relaxing simple moments can be. Now repeat slowly. After a long day, it feels good to slow down and enjoy a quiet moment. Sometimes we spend so much time rushing from one task to another that we forget how relaxing simple moments can be. This type of passage trains your listening for connected thoughts in English. When sentences link ideas together smoothly, shadowing helps your brain follow those connections naturally. Let's continue with another short reflection that you might say at the end of the evening. Imagine finishing your tea and preparing to go home. You might quietly think, "I'm glad I took this small break today." Repeat gently, "I'm glad I took this small break today." Notice the emotional tone of gratitude in the sentence. Now imagine walking back home slowly. And the night air is calm and the streetlights are glowing softly. You might say quietly, The night feels calm and peaceful. Repeat slowly. The night feels calm and peaceful. Perhaps you begin thinking about tomorrow. You might say, tomorrow will bring new opportunities and new moments to learn. Repeat gently. Tomorrow will bring new opportunities and new moments to learn. This sentence helps practice listening to hopeful and future-focused language. As you reach home and prepare to rest, you might say one final reflective sentence. Every day teaches us something new if we pay attention. Repeat slowly. Every day teaches us something new if we pay attention. Through shadowing practice like this, your brain slowly becomes more comfortable hearing and producing English sentences. At first, you may need to read carefully and repeat slowly. But over time, your ears will begin to recognize patterns instantly, and speaking will begin to feel more natural. Remember that fluency grows from consistent listening, calm repetition, and patience with yourself. You are building your English skills step by step, sentence by sentence, moment by moment. So continue listening, continue repeating, and most importantly, continue enjoying the process of learning. Because language learning is not only about improvement, it is also about discovering new ways to express your thoughts and understand the world around you. As we continue practicing together, your ears are becoming more familiar with the rhythm of English, and your brain is beginning to recognize how ideas connect naturally in conversation. This is one of the most important benefits of shadowing practice. Instead of only learning isolated words, you begin to experience English as flowing thoughts, just like people use in real life. Let's imagine a new moment in the day. Perhaps it is the next morning. The sunlight slowly enters your room, and you wake up feeling calm and rested. You stretch gently and take a deep breath, and you might say quietly to yourself, "It feels good to start a new day with a clear mind." Repeat slowly. It feels good to start a new day with a clear mind. Notice how the sentence expresses both a feeling and a reflection at the same time. Now imagine walking into the kitchen and preparing your breakfast. Maybe you open the window and feel the fresh air coming inside. You might say something simple like, "The morning air feels fresh and peaceful today." Repeat gently, "The morning air feels fresh and peaceful today." Sentences like this are perfect for shadowing practice because they describe simple, everyday experiences. Perhaps while making breakfast, you start thinking about your plans for the day. You might say, "I have a few things to do today, but I want to stay relaxed and focused." Repeat slowly, "I have a few things to do today, but I want to stay relaxed and focused." Or listen to how the sentence balances responsibility and calm thinking. Now imagine sitting down at the table with your breakfast, maybe a cup of coffee or tea beside you, and you take a moment to enjoy the quiet morning. You might say, "I enjoy these quiet mornings before the day becomes busy." Repeat gently, "I enjoy these quiet mornings before the day becomes busy." Shadowing sentences like these trains your brain to follow natural spoken patterns. The more you repeat them, the more comfortable your listening becomes. Now imagine someone asking you about your morning, maybe a friend or family member. They might say, "How did your morning start today?" Repeat slowly. How did your morning start? Slowly. How did your morning start today? Now imagine your response. You might say, "My morning started calmly. I had time to think and plan my day." Repeat gently. My morning started calmly. I had time to think and plan my day. Let's continue this conversation a little more. Your friend might respond, "That sounds like a great way to begin the day." Repeat slowly. That sounds like a great way to begin the day. Sentences like this help you practice friendly conversational reactions. Now imagine the conversation continues as you talk about daily routines. Your friend might ask another question. Do you usually wake up early? Repeat gently. Do you usually wake up early? You might answer, "How most days I try to wake up early because the morning feels peaceful." Repeat slowly. Most days I try to wake up early because the morning feels peaceful. Shadowing routine conversations like this helps your ears recognize the structure of everyday dialogue. Question, response, reaction, explanation. These patterns appear constantly in real communication. Let's now imagine a slightly different situation. Perhaps you are preparing to leave home. You check your bag, your phone, and everything you need for the day. You might say quietly, "Before leaving the house, I like to make sure everything is ready." Repeat gently. Before leaving the house, I like to make sure everything is ready. Now imagine stepping outside and beginning your day. You notice people moving around the neighborhood. Some are walking to work. Others are opening shops or greeting neighbors. You might describe the scene like this. The neighborhood feels alive as people begin their day. Repeat slowly. The neighborhood feels alive as people begin their day. Now let's practice another listening moment. Imagine you are waiting at a bus stop or train station. People stand quietly nearby. Some are looking at their phones. Others are simply watching the street. You might think, everyone seems busy with their own plans today. Repeat gently, everyone seems busy with their own plans today. Sentences like this help you practice observing and describing everyday scenes, something that happens naturally in conversations. Now imagine meeting a coworker or classmate when you arrive at your destination. They greet you and ask about your morning. They might say, "Good morning. Did you have a good start to your day?" Repeat slowly. Good morning. Did you have a good start to your day? You might answer, "Yes, the morning was calm and I felt very productive." Repeat gently. Yes, the morning was calm and I felt very productive. Your coworker might respond with their own experience, saying, "I'm glad to hear that. My morning was a little busy, but everything worked out." Repeat slowly. I'm glad to hear that. My morning was a little busy, but everything worked out. Shadowing these everyday workplace or school conversations helps train your listening for real-life communication situations. because these are the kinds of sentences people use all the time. Now let's practice a longer shadowing reflection. Listen carefully and then repeat slowly. Sometimes the best way to improve your English listening is simply to relax and listen carefully. When you remove the pressure to understand every single word, your brain becomes more open to the rhythm and flow of the language. Now repeat slowly. Sometimes the best way to improve your English listening is simply to relax and listen carefully. When you remove the pressure to understand every single word, your brain becomes more open to the rhythm and flow of the language. This kind of passage helps you practice following longer connected ideas in English. And shadowing helps your brain track those ideas smoothly. Let's continue with another calm daily reflection. Imagine finishing your work or studies later in the day. You lean back in your chair for a moment and breathe deeply. You might say quietly, "I'm happy with what I accomplished today." Repeat gently, "I'm happy with what I accomplished today." Now imagine speaking with a friend about the day. You might say, "Today was not too stressful, and I was able to stay focused." Repeat slowly, "Today was not too stressful, and I was able to stay focused." Your friend might respond encouragingly, "That's great to hear. It sounds like you had a productive day." Repeat gently, "That's great to hear. It sounds like you had a productive day." Conversations like this happen frequently in daily life. And practicing them through shadowing helps your listening become stronger and more natural. Now let's finish this section with a thoughtful sentence to practice. Imagine reflecting on your progress while learning English. You might say, "Each small practice brings me closer to understanding English more naturally." Repeat slowly. "Each small practice brings me closer to understanding English more naturally." This sentence reminds us that language learning is not about sudden perfection. It is about steady growth, listening, repeating, and learning step by step. So continue listening carefully, continue repeating calmly, and allow your brain to become comfortable with the sound of English. Every sentence you practice strengthens your listening ability and your speaking confidence. And with time, English will begin to feel more natural and more familiar to you. As you continue listening and repeating these sentences with me, you may begin to notice something interesting happening inside your mind. The sounds of English start to feel more familiar. Sentences that once seemed fast or confusing begin to feel clearer, and your brain starts predicting the next words more easily. This is one of the strongest signs that your listening ability is improving. Shadowing practice trains your ears and your voice together, and slowly your brain begins to process English more naturally. Let's imagine another peaceful daily moment. Perhaps it is late afternoon and you are finishing your work or study tasks. You close your notebook or laptop and stretch your arms gently. You might say quietly, "I'm glad I finished my work for today." Repeat slowly, "I'm glad I finished my work for today." This sentence is simple, but very common in everyday conversations. Now imagine you look outside the window and notice the sunlight slowly fading. The sky begins to change color and the air feels calm. You might say, the evening is arriving slowly and everything feels more relaxed. Repeat gently. The evening is arriving slowly and everything feels more relaxed. Sentences like this help train your listening for descriptive language. Perhaps you decide to step outside for a short walk after finishing your work. The street feels quieter than before. A few people are still walking or talking nearby. You might think, taking a short walk helps me clear my mind. Repeat slowly. Taking a short walk helps me clear my mind. Shadowing sentences about daily routines helps your brain connect English with real experiences. When language feels connected to real life, it becomes easier to remember and understand. Now imagine meeting a friend during your walk. They greet you warmly and ask about your day. They might say, "Hi, how did everything go today?" Repeat gently. "Hi, how did everything go today?" Now imagine your response. You might say, "Everything went well today. I was able to finish my tasks on time." Repeat slowly. "Everything went well today. I was able to finish my tasks on time." Your friend might respond with encouragement, saying, "That's great. It must feel good to finish everything." Repeat gently, "That's great. It must feel good to finish everything." Let's continue the conversation. Your friend might ask another question. "Do you have any plans for the evening?" Repeat slowly. "Do you have any plans for the evening?" You might answer, "Nothing special. I just want to relax and enjoy the evening." Repeat gently. "Nothing special. I just want to relax and enjoy the evening." Notice how natural this conversation feels. These are the kinds of sentences people use every day. And shadowing them helps you prepare for real conversations in English. Now imagine continuing your walk and passing by a small park. Children are playing, people are sitting on benches, and the atmosphere feels calm and friendly. You might describe what you see. The park looks lively. People seem happy to enjoy the evening. Repeat slowly. The park looks lively. People seem happy to enjoy the evening. Perhaps you sit down on a bench for a moment to rest. The breeze moves gently through the trees, and you take a deep breath. You might say quietly, "It's nice to take a moment and simply enjoy the fresh air." Repeat gently. "It's nice to take a moment and simply enjoy the fresh air." Shadowing sentences like these helps you develop a natural rhythm when speaking English. The more you repeat them, the more comfortable your pronunciation becomes. Now let's practice a slightly longer reflection passage. Listen carefully and then repeat slowly. Sometimes we move through our days so quickly that we forget to notice the small, beautiful moments around us. But when we slow down and pay attention, we realize that even simple experiences can bring happiness. Now repeat slowly. Sometimes we move through our days so quickly that we forget to notice the small, beautiful moments around us. But when we slow down and pay attention, we realize that even simple experiences can bring happiness. Passages like this help you practice listening to connected ideas in English. Shadowing longer sentences trains your brain to follow meaning across multiple phrases. Now imagine leaving the park and heading back home. The evening lights begin to glow softly along the street. You might say quietly, "The city feels calm tonight." Repeat slowly. The city feels calm tonight. Perhaps you start thinking about dinner. You might say, I think I'll cook something simple when I get home. Repeat gently. I think I'll cook something simple when I get home. The phrase "I think I'll" is very common in everyday English decisions. Now, imagine arriving home and entering the kitchen. You open the refrigerator and look for ingredients. You might say, "I'm feeling a little hungry, so I'll prepare a quick meal." Repeat slowly. I'm feeling a little hungry, so I'll prepare a quick meal. While cooking, you might reflect on the day again. You could say, "Today was a balanced day, not too busy and not too slow." Repeat gently. Today was a balanced day, not too busy and not too slow. Shadowing reflections like this helps your brain connect emotional tone with spoken language, something that is very important for understanding real conversations. Now imagine sitting down to eat your dinner. The room feels quiet and comfortable. You might say, "I enjoy peaceful dinners like this." Repeat slowly. I enjoy peaceful dinners like this. After finishing your meal, you might relax for a few minutes. Maybe reading a book or listening to music. You could say, "It feels good to relax after a long day." Repeat gently. It feels good to relax after a long day. Now let's practice one more longer shadowing reflection together. Listen carefully and repeat slowly afterward. Learning a language takes patience and practice. Every time you listen carefully and repeat sentences, you are building stronger connections in your brain. And slowly, English becomes easier to understand. Now, repeat slowly. Learning a language takes patience and practice. Every time you listen carefully and repeat sentences, you are building stronger connections in your brain. And slowly, English becomes easier to understand. As you continue practicing shadowings like this, your listening ability grows stronger every day. Your brain becomes more comfortable hearing English sentences, and your voice becomes more confident repeating them. The key is consistency. Now, even a few minutes of daily listening practice can create powerful progress over time. So keep listening, keep repeating, and most importantly, keep enjoying the process of learning English. Every sentence you practice is a step forward toward fluency. And every moment of listening makes your understanding clearer and stronger. As we continue this listening and shadowing practice together, take a moment to notice how your mind responds to the rhythm of English. Sometimes your brain understands a sentence immediately. Other times, it may take a second or two for the meaning to become clear. Both experiences are completely normal. Listening is a skill that grows gradually. Also, and every sentence you hear adds a small piece to your understanding of the language. Let's imagine another everyday situation. Perhaps it is a calm weekend morning. You wake up without any hurry. The room feels quiet and comfortable. Sunlight gently fills the space, and you take a slow breath as you begin your day. You might quietly say to yourself, "Weekends always feel a little slower and more peaceful." Repeat slowly. Weekends always feel a little slower and more peaceful. Now imagine you walk into the kitchen to prepare something simple for breakfast, maybe toast and tea or coffee. You open the window and hear distant sounds of birds or people walking outside. You might say, "I enjoy these quiet mornings when everything feels calm." Repeat gently, "I enjoy these quiet mornings when everything feels calm." Shadowing sentences like this helps your brain connect English with real feelings and experiences. The language becomes more meaningful when it describes moments that feel familiar. Now imagine checking your phone and seeing a message from a friend. They ask about your plans for the day. The message might say, "Good morning. Do you have any plans today?" Repeat slowly. "Good morning. Do you have any plans today?" This is a very common question people ask each other. Now imagine your reply. You might say, "I'm thinking about having a relaxing day and maybe going for a walk later." Or repeat gently, "I'm thinking about having a relaxing day and maybe going for a walk later." Notice how the phrase "I'm thinking about" appears again. This phrase is very useful in everyday English conversations. Your friend might answer with enthusiasm, saying something like, "That sounds like a great idea. Fresh air always helps." Repeat slowly. "That sounds like a great idea. Fresh air always helps." Now imagine continuing your morning routine. You sit down with your breakfast and enjoy the quiet atmosphere. You might say quietly, "I like starting the day slowly when I have the chance." Repeat gently, "I like starting the day slowly when I have the chance." After finishing breakfast, you might decide to go outside for that walk. You put on your shoes and step outside. The air feels fresh and comfortable. You might describe the moment like this: "The weather feels perfect for a walk today." Repeat slowly, "The weather feels perfect for a walk today." As you begin walking through the neighborhood, you notice people enjoying their weekend activities. Some are riding bicycles. Others are walking their dogs. Children laugh while playing nearby. You might say, "It's nice to see people enjoying their day." Repeat gently, "It's nice to see people enjoying their day." Shadowing observation sentences like these helps you practice listening to everyday descriptions. How? These are exactly the types of sentences people use in normal conversations. Now imagine you meet a friend during your walk. They wave and greet you with a smile. They might say, "Hey, it's good to see you out here." Repeat slowly, "Hey, it's good to see you out here." You might respond with the same friendly tone, saying, "Yes, I wanted to enjoy the fresh air for a while." Repeat gently, "Yes, I wanted to enjoy the fresh air for a while." Your friend might continue the conversation, asking, "Have you been busy this week?" Repeat slowly, "Have you been busy this week?" You might answer, "The week was a little busy, but everything went well." Repeat gently. The week was a little busy, wine, but everything went well. Conversations like this happen every day between friends and coworkers. Practicing them through shadowing helps your listening and speaking feel more natural. Now let's continue walking and talking. Your friend might say something thoughtful. Sometimes a simple walk is the best way to relax. Repeat slowly. Sometimes a simple walk is the best way to relax. You might agree and respond, "I feel the same way. It helps me clear my mind." Repeat gently. I feel the same way. It helps me clear my mind. Notice how this small conversation flows naturally. Greeting, question, response, agreement. These patterns appear constantly in everyday English communication. Now let's practice a longer reflective passage together. Listen carefully and then repeat slowly. Many people believe that learning a language must be difficult or stressful, but when you practice calmly and consistently, your brain begins to understand the language more naturally, just like learning a familiar song. Now repeat slowly. Many people believe that learning a language must be difficult or stressful, but when you practice calmly and consistently, your brain begins to understand the language more naturally, just like learning a familiar song. This type of passage trains your listening to follow longer connected thoughts. Shadowing it helps your brain process meaning across multiple sentences. Now imagine continuing your walk and arriving at a small cafe or park. You decide to sit down for a moment. The sun feels warm and the environment feels relaxed. You might say quietly, "This is a perfect place to take a short break." Repeat slowly. This is a perfect place to take a short break. As you sit there, you might think about your learning journey. Perhaps you feel proud of your progress. You might say, "I'm happy that I continue practicing English every day." Repeat gently. I'm happy that I continue practicing English every day. Shadowing sentences about your own progress helps reinforce motivation and confidence. Because language learning is not only about knowledge, it is also about mindset. Now imagine finishing your walk and returning home. The morning has turned into afternoon, and you feel calm and refreshed. You might say, "That walk helped me feel more energized." Repeat slowly. That walk helped me feel more energized. Perhaps you sit down again and think about what to do next. You might say, "Now I feel ready to continue my day." Repeat gently. Now I feel ready to continue my day. Let's finish this section with one final reflection sentence for shadowing practice. Every small moment of listening practice makes your English stronger, and with patience, your understanding grows naturally. Now repeat slowly. Every small moment of listening practice makes your English stronger. And with patience, your understanding grows naturally. Remember that listening improvement does not happen in a single day. It grows through many small moments of practice, just like the ones we are sharing together now. Every sentence you listen to, every phrase you repeat, and every reflection you understand brings you one step closer to comfortable English listening. So continue listening calmly, continue repeating gently, and allow your brain to become familiar with the sound of English, step by step, sentence by sentence. You are building a strong listening foundation that will support your speaking and understanding in the future. As we continue our practice together, take a moment to relax your mind again and focus on the sound of the sentences. Sometimes when learners practice listening, they try too hard to understand everything perfectly. But shadowing works best when you stay calm and simply allow the sounds to flow through your ears. Your brain naturally begins to organize the meaning, and slowly the language starts to feel more comfortable and familiar. Let's imagine another moment from daily life. Perhaps it is the middle of the afternoon. You have finished a few important tasks and now you are taking a small break. You stretch your arms and look around the room. Maybe you open a window and feel the breeze coming inside. You might say quietly, "It feels good to take a short break after working for a while." I repeat slowly. It feels good to take a short break after working for a while. Now imagine preparing a warm drink during your break, maybe tea or coffee. You pour the drink into a cup and sit down comfortably. You might say, "This small break helps me recharge my energy." Repeat gently. This small break helps me recharge my energy. Shadowing sentences about everyday moments like this trains your brain to connect English with normal experiences. This makes the language feel natural rather than artificial. Now imagine receiving a message from a friend during your break. The message says, "Hi, how is your day going so far?" Repeat slowly. "Hi, how is your day going so far?" This question appears very often in conversations between friends and coworkers. You might respond in a relaxed way, saying, "My day is going well. I'm just taking a short break right now." Repeat gently, "My day is going well. I'm just taking a short break right now." Your friend might respond again with curiosity, perhaps saying, "That sounds nice. Sometimes we all need a little rest." Repeat slowly. That sounds nice. Sometimes we all need a little rest. Now imagine finishing your drink and preparing to continue your work or study. You might say quietly, "I feel ready to focus again." Repeat gently, "I feel ready to focus again." Let's now imagine another small daily situation. Perhaps you are studying English in the evening. You open your notebook or your learning materials and begin reviewing new words or sentences. You might say, "Practicing English every day helps me improve steadily." Repeat slowly. Practicing English every day helps me improve steadily. Shadowing sentences about learning itself can be very motivating. It reminds your brain that every small effort contributes to progress. Now imagine speaking with another learner or a friend about studying English. They might ask you, "How long have you been learning English?" Repeat gently, "How long have you been learning English?" You might respond thoughtfully. I have been learning for some time, and I try to practice a little every day. I repeat slowly. I have been learning for some time, and I try to practice a little every day. Your friend might say something encouraging. That's a great habit. Daily practice really makes a difference. Repeat gently. That's a great habit. Daily practice really makes a difference. Now imagine discussing the listening practice you are doing right now. You might say, shadowing helps me understand how English sounds in real conversations. Repeat slowly. Shadowing helps me understand how English sounds in real conversations. Your friend might reply, yes, repeating sentences helps train your ears and your pronunciation. Repeat gently. Yes, repeating sentences helps train your ears and your pronunciation. Conversations like this help reinforce learning ideas while also improving listening skills, because the sentences are meaningful and realistic. Now let's practice a slightly longer shadowing reflection. Listen carefully and then repeat slowly. Learning English is not only about studying grammar or memorizing vocabulary. It is also about listening carefully and becoming familiar with the rhythm of the language. Shadowing practice helps your brain connect sounds with meaning. Now repeat slowly. Learning English is not only about studying grammar or memorizing vocabulary. It is also about listening carefully and becoming familiar with the rhythm of the language. Shadowing practice helps your brain connect sounds with meaning. This type of passage trains your listening to follow longer explanations, something that happens frequently in lessons, podcasts, and conversations. Now imagine finishing your study session and relaxing for the evening. Perhaps you sit comfortably on a chair or sofa. You might say quietly, I'm glad I spent some time practicing today. Repeat gently, I'm glad I spent some time practicing today. Maybe you start thinking about tomorrow and the opportunities it may bring. You might say, tomorrow I will practice again and continue improving. Repeat slowly. Tomorrow I will practice again and continue improving. Shadowing future-focused sentences helps you practice speaking about plans and intentions, which is another very common part of everyday English communication. Now imagine speaking with a friend again before ending your day. You might say, today was a productive day and I learned something new. Repeat gently. Today was a productive day and I learned something new. Your friend might respond warmly. That's wonderful. Learning something new always feels rewarding. Repeat slowly. That's wonderful. Learning something new always feels rewarding. Let's practice another reflective passage together. Listen carefully and repeat slowly afterward. When you practice listening regularly, your brain gradually becomes more comfortable with the sounds of English. Words begin to feel familiar, and sentences become easier to understand. Now repeat slowly. When you practice listening regularly, your brain gradually becomes more comfortable with the sounds of English. Words begin to feel familiar, and sentences become easier to understand. At this moment in our lesson, You have already practiced many sentences. Your ears have heard a wide range of everyday English expressions, and your voice has repeated them slowly and calmly. This repetition helps strengthen your listening comprehension and pronunciation at the same time. Remember that language learning is a journey made of many small steps. Each sentence you practice adds a little more understanding to your mind. And each day of listening makes the language feel more natural. So continue listening carefully. Repeat softly, and enjoy the experience of hearing English more clearly, because every moment of practice brings you closer to confident listening and comfortable speaking. As we continue practicing together, your ears are gradually becoming more comfortable with the rhythm of English. Sentences that once felt unfamiliar may now sound clearer, and your mind may begin recognizing patterns before the sentence even finishes. This is one of the quiet signs that shadowing is working. Your brain is learning to follow English naturally rather than translating every word. Let's imagine another calm daily situation. Perhaps it is early evening again. The light outside is soft and the atmosphere feels peaceful. And you have finished most of your responsibilities for the day, and now you are preparing to relax. You might say quietly, "The evening feels calm after a busy day." Repeat slowly, "The evening feels calm after a busy day." Now imagine preparing a simple dinner in your kitchen. The sound of cooking fills the room, and the smell of food makes the space feel warm and comfortable. You might say, "Cooking at home helps me relax and enjoy the evening." Repeat gently, "Cooking at home helps me relax and enjoy the evening." Shadowing sentences like these helps your brain connect English with everyday activities. When the language is connected to real life, it becomes easier to remember and understand. As now imagine speaking with a family member or friend while preparing dinner. They might ask you, "What are you cooking tonight?" Repeat slowly, "What are you cooking tonight?" You might respond with a calm tone. "I'm making something simple because I want a relaxing evening." Repeat gently, "I'm making something simple because I want a relaxing evening." Your friend might respond with interest, saying, "Simple meals are often the most enjoyable." Repeat slowly, "Simple meals are often the most enjoyable." Now, imagine sitting down to eat your dinner. The room is quiet and comfortable. You take a moment to appreciate the peaceful atmosphere. You might say quietly, "I enjoy quiet dinners after a long day." Repeat gently, "I enjoy quiet dinners after a long day." After finishing your meal, you might decide to take a short walk outside. The evening air feels cool and refreshing. The sky is darker now and street lights begin to glow softly. You might say, "The night air feels fresh and calm." Repeat slowly, "The night air feels fresh and calm." Shadowing descriptive sentences like this trains your ears to understand natural observations in English, something that appears often in conversations and storytelling. Now imagine meeting a neighbor during your evening walk. They greet you with a smile and say, "Good evening. It's a nice night for a walk." Repeat gently, good evening, or it's a nice night for a walk. You might respond with agreement, saying, yes, the air feels very comfortable tonight. Repeat slowly. Yes, the air feels very comfortable tonight. Your neighbor might continue the conversation, asking, did you have a good day today? Repeat gently, did you have a good day today? You might answer thoughtfully, yes, it was a calm and productive day. Repeat slowly, yes, it was a calm and productive day. Conversations like these are very common in everyday life. Greeting someone, exchanging small thoughts about the day, and sharing simple observations. Practicing them through shadowing prepares you for real communication. Now let's practice a longer reflection passage together. Listen carefully and repeat slowly afterward. Sometimes the most relaxing part of the day is the quiet evening, when the work is finished and you can finally slow down. These peaceful moments help us reflect and prepare for tomorrow. Now repeat slowly. Sometimes the most relaxing part of the day is the quiet evening, when the work is finished and you can finally slow down. These peaceful moments help us reflect and prepare for tomorrow. Passages like this train your listening to follow connected thoughts. Shadowing them helps your brain process meaning across multiple sentences without stress. Now imagine returning home after your walk. You sit down comfortably and take a deep breath. The day is slowly coming to an end. You might say quietly, it feels good to relax after a full day. Repeat gently, it feels good to relax after a full day. Perhaps you decide to read a book or listen to music for a while. You might say, I enjoy peaceful evenings like this. Repeat slowly. I enjoy peaceful evenings like this. Shadowing calm, reflective sentences helps your pronunciation become smoother because the sentences have a natural rhythm and emotional tone. Now imagine thinking about your progress in learning English. You might say, I feel proud that I continue practicing every day. Repeat gently, I feel proud that I continue practicing every day. Maybe you remember the effort you have made so far, and you might say, each day of practice makes my listening a little stronger. Repeat slowly. Each day of practice makes my listening a little stronger. Now let's practice one more longer passage for shadowing practice. Listen carefully and then repeat slowly. Listening to English regularly trains your ears to recognize sounds more quickly. When you combine listening with shadowing, your brain begins to understand the language in a more natural way. Now repeat slowly. Listening to English regularly trains your ears to recognize sounds more quickly. When you combine listening with shadowing, your brain begins to understand the language in a more natural way. At this point in the lesson, you have already practiced many different types of sentences, describing daily routines, sharing feelings, asking questions, and reflecting on experiences. These patterns appear constantly in everyday English conversations. The more you repeat sentences like these, the more natural English will begin to sound. Your brain becomes faster at recognizing familiar phrases, and your listening ability grows stronger with each practice session. Remember that fluency is not created in a single moment. It grows slowly through consistent listening and repetition, just like the practice you are doing now. Sentence by sentence, thought by thought, day by day. So continue listening carefully. I repeat softly. And allow your mind to become comfortable with the sound and rhythm of English, because each moment of practice helps build the confidence and understanding you need for real conversations. As we continue this shadowing practice together, take another calm breath and allow your mind to focus only on the rhythm of the language. You do not need to hurry. You do not need to force understanding. Simply listen to the flow of the sentences and repeat them gently. The more relaxed you are, the easier it becomes for your brain to absorb the sounds of English naturally. Let's imagine another simple daily moment. Perhaps it is later in the evening and you are sitting comfortably in your home. Maybe the room is quiet and the atmosphere feels peaceful. You might say quietly, "Evenings like this help me relax and think about my day." Repeat slowly. Evenings like this help me relax and think about my day. Now imagine making yourself a warm drink before going to bed, perhaps tea or warm milk. You sit quietly and enjoy the calm moment. You might say, "I like ending the day with a calm moment like this." Repeat gently. I like ending the day with a calm moment like this. Shadowing sentences that describe calm moments is very useful for learning natural English rhythm, because these sentences often appear in storytelling and personal conversations. Now imagine speaking with a friend before the night ends, maybe through a phone call or a short message. Your friend might ask you, "How was your evening?" Repeat slowly. "How was your evening?" You might respond with a relaxed tone. "My evening was quiet and relaxing." Repeat gently. "My evening was quiet and relaxing." Your friend might continue the conversation, asking, "Did you do anything interesting today?" Repeat slowly. "Did you do anything interesting today?" You might answer thoughtfully, "Nothing unusual happened, but it was a peaceful day." Repeat gently. "Nothing unusual happened, but it was a peaceful day." Conversations like these happen very often in everyday life. Simple questions about the day, simple answers about experiences, and calm reflections about how things felt. Now, practicing these patterns through shadowing helps your listening become more natural. Now, imagine preparing to sleep. The room is quiet and the lights are soft. You might say quietly, "I'm ready to rest and start fresh tomorrow." Repeat slowly, "I'm ready to rest and start fresh tomorrow." Shadowing future-focused sentences helps your brain become comfortable speaking about plans and expectations. Now imagine waking up again the next morning. The cycle of daily life begins again. You stretch slowly and take a deep breath. You might say, "Today is a new opportunity to learn something." Repeat gently. Today is a new opportunity to learn something. You walk into the kitchen and prepare breakfast again. Maybe you make coffee or tea and sit down near the window. You might say quietly, "Mornings feel peaceful when the day is just beginning." Repeat slowly. Mornings feel peaceful when the day is just beginning. Shadowing sentences about morning routines helps reinforce everyday vocabulary and natural rhythm, because these situations happen frequently in real conversations. Now imagine meeting someone outside during the morning, perhaps a neighbor or a coworker. They greet you kindly and say, "Good morning. How are you today?" Repeat gently. "Good morning. How are you today?" You might respond politely, "I'm doing well. Thank you." Repeat slowly. "I'm doing well. Thank you." Your neighbor might ask another question. "Did you sleep well last night?" Repeat gently, "Did you sleep well last night?" You might answer calmly, "Yes, I had a good night's sleep." Repeat slowly, "Yes, I had a good night's sleep." These kinds of short conversations appear everywhere in daily life. Greeting people, asking simple questions, sharing small details, practicing them through shadowing prepares your ears for real interactions. Now let's practice a longer reflection passage together. Listen carefully and repeat slowly afterward. Every new day brings another chance to practice and improve. When you listen carefully and repeat sentences regularly, your understanding grows naturally and your confidence becomes stronger. Now repeat slowly. Every new day brings another chance to practice and improve. When you listen carefully and repeat sentences regularly, your understanding grows naturally and your confidence becomes stronger. Passages like this help train your listening for connected ideas. Shadowing them allows your brain to follow meaning across multiple sentences without feeling overwhelmed. Now imagine continuing your morning routine. Perhaps you prepare to leave home for work or study. You check your bag and make sure everything is ready. You might say quietly, "I want to start the day feeling prepared and focused." Repeat gently, "I want to start the day feeling prepared and focused." Shadowing sentences about preparation helps you practice speaking about intentions and goals, something that appears often in conversations about daily plans. Now imagine speaking with a colleague or classmate later in the day. They might say, "How is your day going so far?" Repeat slowly, "How is your day going so far?" You might answer, "So far, everything is going smoothly." Repeat gently, "So far, everything is going smoothly." Your colleague might respond positively, "That's good to hear." Repeat slowly, "That's good to hear." Now let's practice another reflective passage together. Listen carefully and then repeat slowly. Now, listening carefully helps your brain recognize patterns in the language. The more sentences you hear and repeat, the easier it becomes to understand real conversations. Now repeat slowly. Listening carefully helps your brain recognize patterns in the language. The more sentences you hear and repeat, the easier it becomes to understand real conversations. By now, you have practiced many sentences about daily routines. simple conversations, reflections about the day, and thoughts about learning English. Each of these sentences helps strengthen your listening ability, and shadowing them helps improve your pronunciation and fluency at the same time. Remember that every learner improves step by step. No one becomes fluent overnight, but consistent listening practice like this slowly builds strong understanding. The more you listen, the more natural English begins to sound. So continue listening calmly. Repeat moment of practice helps you move closer to confident listening and comfortable speaking. As we continue moving forward in this listening journey together, try to notice how the sound of English begins to feel more natural to your ears. At the beginning of practice, many learners feel that sentences move too quickly. But after repeating many sentences slowly and calmly, your brain starts recognizing patterns more easily, and the language begins to flow in a more comfortable way. Let's imagine another everyday moment. Perhaps it is late morning and you are working or studying. You pause for a moment and stretch your arms. Maybe you look out of the window and see people walking by. You might say quietly, "It's nice to take a short pause during a busy day." Repeat slowly. It's nice to take a short pause during a busy day. Now imagine making yourself another drink or snack during this short break. You sit down for a moment and relax. You might say, "Small breaks help me stay focused and refreshed." Repeat gently. Small breaks help me stay focused and refreshed. Shadowing sentences about daily routines like this helps your brain connect English to real experiences. When the language describes things you truly recognize from life, understanding becomes easier. Now imagine someone asking you about your work or study. They might say, "Are you having a productive day?" Repeat slowly. Are you having a productive day? You might answer calmly, "Yes, I've been making steady progress today." Repeat gently, "Yes, I've been making steady progress today." Your friend or colleague might respond with encouragement, saying, "That's great to hear. Steady progress is the best kind." Repeat slowly. That's great to hear. Steady progress is the best kind. Conversations like this appear often when people talk about their work, studies, or personal projects. Practicing them through shadowing prepares your ears for real conversations. Now imagine continuing your work and finishing another task. You might say quietly, "I feel satisfied when I complete something important." Repeat gently, "I feel satisfied when I complete something important." Shadowing emotional sentences like this helps your brain connect meaning and tone together, which is very helpful for understanding real conversations where emotions play a role. Now imagine lunchtime arriving. You begin thinking about what you would like to eat. You might say, "It's time to take a break and have lunch." Repeat slowly. It's time to take a break and have lunch. Maybe you walk to a nearby cafe or restaurant, or prepare something simple at home. You might say, "I'm looking forward to a relaxing lunch." Repeat gently, "I'm looking forward to a relaxing lunch." Shadowing sentences about meals and daily routines helps reinforce very common vocabulary used in everyday conversations. Now imagine sitting down for lunch with a friend or coworker. They might say, "How has your day been going so far?" Repeat slowly. "How has your day been going so far?" You might answer, "It's been a good day so far. I've been able to stay focused." Repeat gently. "It's been a good day so far. I've been able to stay focused." Your friend might respond warmly, "That's always a good feeling." Repeat slowly. "That's always a good feeling." Now imagine continuing your conversation during lunch. Your friend might ask, "Do you have any plans for the afternoon?" Repeat gently. "Do you have any plans for the afternoon?" You might respond, "I have a few tasks to finish, but nothing too stressful." Repeat slowly. "I have a few tasks to finish, but nothing too stressful." Notice how natural this conversation feels. Simple questions, calm responses, friendly reactions. These patterns appear constantly in real communication. Now let's practice a longer shadowing passage together. Listen carefully and then repeat slowly afterward. Daily conversations often include simple questions and thoughtful answers. When you practice listening carefully and repeating sentences, your brain begins to recognize these patterns naturally. Now, repeat slowly. Daily conversations often include simple questions and thoughtful answers. When you practice listening carefully and repeating sentences, your brain begins to recognize these patterns naturally. Passages like this help your brain understand connected explanations rather than single sentences. Shadowing them strengthens your listening comprehension. Now imagine finishing lunch and preparing to return to your work or study. You might say quietly, "I feel ready to continue my day." Repeat gently, "I feel ready to continue my day." Perhaps you take one last deep breath before returning to your tasks. You might say, "A good break always helps me focus again." Repeat slowly, "A good break always helps me focus again." Shadowing reflective sentences like these trains your brain to understand how ideas connect naturally in English. Now imagine the afternoon passing by and your work gradually coming to an end. You might say, "The day is moving along quickly." Repeat gently, "The day is moving along quickly." Later, you might reflect again, saying, "I'm happy with what I accomplished today." Repeat slowly, "I'm happy with what I accomplished today." Let's practice one more longer reflection passage for shadowing practice. Listen carefully and then repeat slowly. When you listen to English regularly, your ears begin to recognize familiar sounds and phrases. This makes it easier to follow conversations and understand meaning without translating. Now repeat slowly. When you listen to English regularly, your ears begin to recognize familiar sounds and phrases. This makes it easier to follow conversations and understand meaning without translating. By now, your ears have heard many different sentences about daily life, routines, conversations, and reflections. Every sentence adds a little more familiarity to the sound of English. And each time you repeat them, your pronunciation becomes smoother and more confident. Remember that fluency grows gradually through consistent listening and repetition. The more you expose your ears to English, the more natural the language begins to feel. So, keep listening carefully, keep repeating gently, and allow your brain to absorb the rhythm of English, because every sentence you practice helps you move closer to confident listening and clear speaking. As we continue this practice together, you may begin to feel that English sentences sound smoother and more predictable. Your ears are slowly becoming familiar with how ideas connect in natural conversation. This is exactly what shadowing is designed to do. It trains your brain to follow spoken language without stress. And gradually, the meaning of sentences begins to appear more quickly in your mind. Let's imagine another simple moment in daily life. Perhaps it is late afternoon again, and you are finishing the final tasks of your day. You close your notebook or computer and stretch your shoulders. You might say quietly, "It feels satisfying to finish the work I planned for today." Repeat slowly. "It feels satisfying to finish the work I planned for today." Now imagine stepping outside for a few minutes of fresh air. The day is slowly turning into evening and the sky is beginning to change color. You might say, "The afternoon is slowly turning into evening." Repeat gently. "The afternoon is slowly turning into evening." You shadowing sentences that describe the environment helps your listening become more sensitive to descriptive language, something that appears often in real conversations and storytelling. Now imagine meeting someone during this short walk, maybe a coworker or a friend who is also finishing their day. They might greet you and say, "Hey, how did everything go today?" Repeat slowly, "Hey, how did everything go today?" You might answer with a calm tone, "Everything went well today. I was able to complete my tasks." Repeat gently, "Everything went well today. I was able to complete my tasks." Your friend might respond positively, saying, "That's always a great feeling." Repeat slowly, "That's always a great feeling." Conversations like this happen very often between people after work or school. Simple questions about the day and calm reflections about how things went. Shadowing them prepares your ears for natural daily conversations. Now imagine continuing your walk and enjoying the quiet atmosphere around you. Maybe the wind moves gently through the trees and the street becomes calmer as evening approaches. You might say quietly, "The evening feels peaceful today." Repeat gently, "The evening feels peaceful today." Now imagine calling a friend or family member while walking. They might ask, "What are you doing right now?" Repeat slowly, "What are you doing right now?" You might answer, "I'm taking a short walk and enjoying the evening air." Repeat gently, "I'm taking a short walk and enjoying the evening air." Your friend might respond with interest, saying, "That sounds relaxing." Repeat slowly, "That sounds relaxing." Now imagine the conversation continuing a little further. Your friend might ask, Do you have any plans for tonight? Repeat gently. Do you have any plans for tonight? You might answer calmly. Nothing special. I just want to relax and enjoy the evening. Repeat slowly. Nothing special. I just want to relax and enjoy the evening. Notice how simple and natural these sentences are. Our everyday English conversations are often made of these kinds of short and meaningful exchanges. Practicing them through shadowing helps your brain recognize them quickly in real life. Now let's practice a longer reflection passage together. Listen carefully and then repeat slowly afterward. Many people think that listening to a foreign language must always feel difficult. But when you practice regularly and repeat sentences slowly, your brain begins to recognize patterns and meaning more easily. Now, repeat slowly. Many people think that listening to a foreign language must always feel difficult. But when you practice regularly and repeat sentences slowly, your brain begins to recognize patterns and meaning more easily. Now, passages like this help train your listening for longer explanations. Shadowing them strengthens your ability to follow ideas across several sentences. Now imagine returning home after your walk. You sit down comfortably and take a moment to relax. You might say quietly, "It feels good to be home after a long day." Repeat gently, "It feels good to be home after a long day." Perhaps you decide to prepare dinner. While standing in the kitchen, you might say, "I'm a little hungry, so I'll cook something simple." Repeat slowly. "I'm a little hungry, so I'll cook something simple." Shadowing sentences about daily routines like this helps reinforce vocabulary that appears frequently in conversations about food, family, and home life. Now imagine sitting down for dinner. You take a moment to appreciate the peaceful evening. You might say, "This is a nice way to end the day." Repeat gently, "This is a nice way to end the day." After finishing your meal, you might relax for a while, maybe reading or listening to music. You might say quietly, "Quiet evenings help me recharge for the next day." Repeat slowly. Quiet evenings help me recharge for the next day. Now let's practice another longer reflection passage for shadowing practice. Listen carefully and repeat slowly afterward. Learning to listen in English takes patience. But each time you practice shadowing, your ears become more familiar with the rhythm and sounds of the language. Now repeat slowly. Learning to listen in English takes patience. But each time you practice shadowing, your ears become more familiar with the rhythm and sounds of the language. At this point in our lesson, your ears have experienced many different types of sentences, greetings, conversations, reflections, and descriptions of daily life. All of these help your brain become more comfortable with the flow of English. The more sentences you practice like this, the easier it becomes to understand real conversations in everyday situations. Because your brain already recognizes many of the patterns. So continue listening carefully. Repeat each sentence slowly and enjoy the rhythm of the language. Every moment of shadowing practice strengthens your listening ability and helps you move closer to natural English understanding. As we continue moving deeper into our listening and shadowing practice, take another calm breath and allow your mind to relax again. By now, you have already practiced many sentences and reflections about daily life. Your ears have heard English in many small situations, conversations with friends, moments of quiet reflection, and descriptions of everyday routines. This repetition slowly trains your brain to recognize the sound and rhythm of the language more naturally. Let's imagine another moment in the day. Perhaps it is early evening and you are finishing the last small task you planned for today. Or you close your notebook or turn off your computer and lean back for a moment. You might say quietly, "I'm glad I was able to finish everything today." Repeat slowly, "I'm glad I was able to finish everything today." Now imagine standing up and stretching after sitting for a long time. Your body feels lighter and your mind feels calm. You might say, "Taking a moment to stretch helps me relax." Repeat gently, "Taking a moment to stretch helps me relax." Shadowing simple physical experiences like this helps connect language with actions you feel in your daily routine. This connection helps your brain remember phrases more easily. Now imagine stepping outside for a few minutes of fresh air. The evening sky is slowly changing colors, and the atmosphere feels peaceful. You might say quietly, "The evening sky looks beautiful tonight." Repeat slowly, "The evening sky looks beautiful tonight." Now imagine meeting a neighbor outside your home. They greet you with a friendly voice and say, "Good evening. How are you doing today?" Repeat gently, "Good evening. How are you doing today?" You might answer calmly, "I'm doing well, thank you." Repeat slowly, "I'm doing well, thank you." Your neighbor might continue the conversation, asking, "Did you have a busy day?" Repeat gently, "Did you have a busy day?" You might respond thoughtfully, "It was a little busy, but everything went smoothly." Repeat slowly, "It was a little busy, but everything went smoothly." Conversations like these appear very often in everyday life. Simple greetings, short questions, and friendly answers. Practicing them through shadowing helps prepare your ears for natural communication. Now imagine continuing your short walk and noticing the peaceful atmosphere around you. Perhaps the street is quieter than before, and the lights from houses begin to glow softly. You might say quietly, "The neighborhood feels calm this evening." Repeat gently, "The neighborhood feels calm this evening." Shadowing descriptive sentences like this helps your brain understand how English is used to describe surroundings and feelings. Now imagine calling a friend or family member during your walk. They might answer the phone and say, "Hello, it's nice to hear from you." Repeat slowly, "Hello, it's nice to hear from you." You might respond warmly, "I just finished my day and wanted to say hello." Repeat gently, "I just finished my day and wanted to say hello." Your friend might ask with interest, "How did your day go?" Repeat slowly, How did your day go? You might answer, it was a productive day and I'm feeling relaxed now. Repeat gently. It was a productive day and I'm feeling relaxed now. Now imagine continuing the conversation a little longer. Your friend might say, that's good to hear. Everyone needs a peaceful evening. Repeat slowly. That's good to hear. Everyone needs a peaceful evening. Now let's practice a longer reflection passage together. Listen carefully and then repeat slowly afterward. Evenings are often the best time to reflect on the day. When the work is finished and the world becomes quieter, we have time to think about what we learned and what we can do tomorrow. Now, repeat slowly. Evenings are often the best time to reflect on the day. When the work is finished and the world becomes quieter, we have time to think about what we learned and what we can do tomorrow. Passages like this help train your listening for connected ideas. Shadowing them helps your brain follow meaning across several sentences naturally. Now imagine returning home after your walk. You sit down comfortably and take a deep breath. You might say quietly, it feels good to relax at home after a long day. Repeat gently. It feels good to relax at home after a long day. Perhaps you decide to prepare something small to eat or drink. While standing in the kitchen, you might say, I'm going to prepare something simple for dinner. Repeat slowly. I'm going to prepare something simple for dinner. Shadowing everyday routines like cooking or preparing meals helps reinforce vocabulary that appears very often in conversations about home life. Now imagine sitting down with your meal. You might say quietly, I enjoy peaceful dinners like this. Repeat gently, I enjoy peaceful dinners like this. After finishing your meal, you might relax for a few minutes, perhaps reading or listening to music. You might say, quiet moments help me recharge my energy. Repeat slowly. Quiet moments help me recharge my energy. Now let's practice another reflection passage together for shadowing practice. Listen carefully and repeat slowly afterward. Language learning becomes easier when you practice regularly. Every sentence you hear and repeat strengthens your listening ability and helps you understand English more naturally. Now repeat slowly. Language learning becomes easier when you practice regularly. And every sentence you hear and repeat strengthens your listening ability and helps you understand English more naturally. At this point in our lesson, your ears have listened to many sentences describing daily life, conversations with friends, peaceful reflections, and common routines. Each of these experiences helps build your listening ability step by step. Remember that learning a language is like building a strong path through repetition and patience. Every sentence you practice makes the path clearer and easier to follow. Over time, the language begins to feel familiar and comfortable. So continue listening carefully. Repeat softly and allow the rhythm of English to become natural to your ears. Because every moment of shadowing practice helps you move closer to confident listening and fluent speaking. As we continue practicing together, Take another calm moment and allow the rhythm of the sentences to guide your listening. By now, your ears have heard many examples of natural English used in daily life. You have practiced conversations about mornings, walks, work, meals, and quiet reflections. All of these situations help your brain understand how English flows in real communication. Let's imagine another peaceful moment in the day. Perhaps the evening is slowly coming to an end. The air outside feels calm and the world around you is becoming quieter. You sit comfortably and think about everything that happened during the day. You might say quietly, "Today was a good day with many small positive moments." Repeat slowly. Today was a good day with many small positive moments. Now imagine thinking about something you learned or experienced today. You might say, "Every day gives us new chances to learn and grow." Repeat gently. Every day gives us new chances to learn and grow. Shadowing reflective sentences like these helps your brain connect English with thoughts and emotions. Something that happens often in real conversations when people talk about their experiences. Now imagine speaking with a friend about your day. They might ask you, "What was the best part of your day?" Repeat slowly. What was the best part of your day? You might answer thoughtfully, "The best part of my day was having time to relax and think." Repeat gently. The best part of my day was having time to relax and think. Your friend might respond warmly, saying, "Sometimes the quiet moments are the most valuable ones." Repeat slowly. Sometimes the quiet moments are the most valuable ones. Now imagine continuing the conversation and sharing your thoughts about learning English. You might say, "Practicing English every day helps me feel more confident." Repeat gently. Practicing English every day helps me feel more confident. Your friend might respond with encouragement. Consistency is the key to improvement. Repeat slowly. Yes, consistency is the key to improvement. Conversations like this help you practice expressing thoughts and ideas in English. Shadowing them helps your brain become comfortable, understanding and repeating similar ideas in real life. Now imagine preparing for the night. You might turn off the lights in the room and sit quietly for a moment. You might say softly, "I'm grateful for the peaceful moments of today." Repeat slowly. I'm grateful for the peaceful moments of today. Shadowing gratitude and reflection sentences like this trains your listening for emotional language and tone. Now imagine lying down to sleep and thinking about tomorrow. You might say quietly, "Tomorrow will bring new opportunities." Repeat gently. Tomorrow will bring new opportunities. Perhaps you also think about continuing your English practice. You might say, "I will continue learning step by step." Repeat slowly. I will continue learning step by step. Now imagine the next morning arriving again. Sunlight slowly fills the room and you begin a new day. You stretch gently and take a deep breath. You might say quietly, "A new morning always brings fresh energy." Repeat gently. A new morning always brings fresh energy. You walk into the kitchen and prepare breakfast again. Maybe coffee or tea and something simple to eat. You might say, starting the morning calmly helps the whole day feel better. Repeat slowly, or starting the morning calmly helps the whole day feel better. Shadowing sentences about morning routines reinforces some of the most common phrases used in everyday English communication. Now imagine greeting someone early in the day, maybe a neighbor or coworker. They might say, "Good morning. I hope you have a great day today." Repeat gently. "Good morning. I hope you have a great day today." You might respond kindly. "Thank you. I hope you have a great day too." Repeat slowly. "Thank you. I hope you have a great day too." These types of polite exchanges happen constantly in everyday communication. Practicing them through shadowing prepares your ears and voice for natural conversations. Now let's practice a longer reflective passage together. Listen carefully and then repeat slowly afterward. Learning English becomes easier when you practice listening regularly. The more sentences you hear and repeat, the more familiar the language begins to feel. Now repeat slowly. Learning English becomes easier when you practice listening regularly. The more sentences you hear and repeat, the more familiar the language begins to feel. Passages like this help your brain understand how ideas connect across sentences. Shadowing them strengthens your listening comprehension. Now imagine continuing your day with confidence. You might say quietly, "I feel motivated to keep improving my English." Repeat gently, "I feel motivated to keep improving my English." Shadowing sentences about motivation helps reinforce a positive mindset toward learning, which is extremely important for long-term progress. Now let's practice another reflection passage together for shadowing practice. Listen carefully and repeat slowly afterward. Every time you listen carefully to English, your brain becomes more comfortable with the sounds of the language. Over time, these sounds become familiar and easier to understand. Now repeat slowly. Every time you listen carefully to English, your brain becomes more comfortable with the sounds of the language. Over time, these sounds become familiar and easier to understand. By now, you have practiced many sentences describing daily routines, reflections about life, conversations with friends, and thoughts about learning English. Each one helps strengthen your listening ability and improve your pronunciation. Remember that progress happens through steady practice, not through sudden effort. Each sentence you shadow brings you closer to understanding English naturally. And each day of listening builds your confidence little by little. So continue listening calmly. Repeat the sentences softly, and allow the language to become familiar to your ears, because every moment of shadowing practice helps you move closer to fluent listening and confident speaking. As we continue practicing together, you may begin to notice that listening to English now feels smoother than when we started. The sentences flow more naturally in your mind, and your ears recognize familiar phrases more quickly. This quiet improvement is one of the beautiful results of shadowing practice. Every time you listen and repeat, your brain becomes more comfortable with the sound and rhythm of the language. Let's imagine another calm moment in daily life. Perhaps it is late afternoon and you are finishing the last small tasks of your day. You close your notebook or your computer and take a slow breath. You might say quietly, "I'm happy that I made good progress today." Repeat slowly, "I'm happy that I made good progress today." Now imagine standing up and looking outside the window. The light outside is slowly becoming softer as evening approaches. You might say, "The day is slowly turning into evening." Repeat gently, "The day is slowly turning into evening." Shadowing sentences that describe the passing of time helps your brain understand how English speakers naturally talk about daily experiences. Now imagine speaking with a colleague or friend at the end of the day. They might ask you, "How did everything go today?" Repeat slowly, "How did everything go today?" You might respond calmly, "Everything went smoothly, and I finished what I needed to do." Repeat gently, "Everything went smoothly, and I finished what I needed to do." Your friend might answer with encouragement, saying, "That must feel very satisfying." Repeat slowly, "That must feel very satisfying." Conversations like this are extremely common in everyday life. People often ask about each other's day and share small reflections about work, study, or personal tasks. Shadowing these patterns helps your listening become more natural. Now imagine leaving your workplace or study space and walking outside. The air feels cooler and the environment becomes quieter. You might say quietly, "The evening air feels refreshing." Repeat gently, "The evening air feels refreshing." As you walk home, you might reflect on the day again. You might say, "Today was a productive and balanced day." Tapine, repeat slowly. Today was a productive and balanced day. Shadowing reflective sentences like this helps you practice expressing thoughts and emotions in English, which is very important for real conversations. Now imagine arriving home and greeting a family member or roommate. They might say, "Welcome back. How was your day?" Repeat gently, "Welcome back. How was your day?" You might answer, "My day went well, and now I'm ready to relax." Repeat slowly, "My day went well, and now I'm ready to relax." Your family member might respond warmly, "That's good to hear." Repeat gently, "That's good to hear." These small, friendly exchanges appear in everyday life all the time. And practicing them through shadowing helps you understand them quickly in real situations. Now imagine preparing dinner in the evening. The kitchen feels warm and comfortable. You might say quietly, "Cooking dinner helps me unwind after a busy day." Repeat slowly, "Cooking dinner helps me unwind after a busy day." After preparing your meal, you sit down and enjoy the quiet atmosphere. You might say, "I enjoy peaceful evenings at home." Repeat gently, "I enjoy peaceful evenings at home." Shadowing sentences about home life helps reinforce everyday vocabulary and common expressions. Now imagine speaking with a friend about your plans for the evening. They might ask, "What are you going to do tonight?" Repeat slowly. "What are you going to do tonight?" You might answer calmly, "Tonight, I just want to relax and enjoy a quiet evening." Repeat gently, "Tonight, I just want to relax and enjoy a quiet evening." Now let's practice a longer reflection passage together. Listen carefully and repeat slowly afterward. Improving your English listening does not require complicated methods. Simple daily practice, like listening and shadowing, can gradually train your ears to understand spoken English more naturally. Now repeat slowly. Improving your English listening does not require complicated methods. Simple daily practice, like listening and shadowing, can gradually train your ears to understand spoken English more naturally. Passages like this help your brain follow connected ideas across sentences. Shadowing them strengthens your ability to understand explanations and discussions in English. Now imagine finishing dinner and relaxing for a few minutes. Perhaps you sit quietly and reflect on your learning progress. You might say, "I'm proud that I continue practicing every day." Repeat gently, "I'm proud that I continue practicing every day." Shadowing positive sentences like this can also strengthen motivation and confidence, which are important parts of language learning. Now let's practice one more longer reflection passage together. Listen carefully and repeat slowly afterward. The more you expose your ears to English, the easier it becomes to understand conversations. Your brain slowly becomes familiar with the rhythm and patterns of the language. Now, repeat slowly. The more you expose your ears to English, the easier it becomes to understand conversations. Your brain slowly becomes familiar with the rhythm and patterns of the language. At this point in our lesson, you have practiced many examples of everyday English, greetings, conversations, reflections, and descriptions of daily life. Each sentence you listened to and repeated helped strengthen your listening ability. Remember that fluency grows through steady practice. Every sentence you shadow helps your brain build stronger connections with the language. And with time, these connections allow you to understand English more easily and more confidently. So continue listening calmly. Repeat each sentence gently, and enjoy the rhythm of English as it becomes more familiar to your ears. Because every moment of shadowing practice helps you move closer to comfortable listening and confident speaking. As we continue this final stretch of listening practice together, allow your mind to remain calm and focused on the rhythm of the language. By now, your ears have listened to many sentences about daily life, conversations between friends, moments of reflection, and simple descriptions of ordinary experiences. Each of these sentences has helped train your brain to follow English more naturally. And with every repetition, your listening ability becomes a little stronger. Let's imagine another quiet moment during the evening. Perhaps you are sitting comfortably after finishing dinner. The room feels peaceful, and the world outside is becoming quieter. You might say quietly, "The day is slowly coming to an end." Repeat slowly, "The day is slowly coming to an end." Now imagine looking outside the window and noticing the calm night sky. The lights of buildings glow softly and the streets become quieter. You might say, "The night feels calm and peaceful." Repeat gently, "The night feels calm and peaceful." Shadowing descriptive sentences like these helps your brain connect English with observations of the world around you, on something that appears frequently in real conversations and storytelling. Now imagine thinking about the events of your day. You might reflect quietly. Today was a meaningful day with many small moments. Repeat slowly. Today was a meaningful day with many small moments. Reflection sentences like this help your brain practice understanding emotional language and thoughtful expressions. Now imagine speaking with a friend about your day. They might ask you, "What was the most interesting part of your day?" Repeat gently, "What was the most interesting part of your day?" You might answer thoughtfully, "The most interesting part of my day was learning something new." Repeat slowly, "The most interesting part of my day was learning something new." Your friend might respond with encouragement, saying, "Learning something new always makes the day better." Repeat gently, "Learning something new always makes the day better." Conversations like this help train your listening for everyday discussions about experiences and learning. Now imagine continuing the conversation about language learning. You might say, "Practicing English every day helps me feel more confident." Repeat slowly, "Practicing English every day helps me feel more confident." Your friend might respond with agreement. Daily practice really makes a difference. Repeat gently, "Daily practice really makes a difference." Shadowing sentences about learning itself helps reinforce useful vocabulary related to improvement and progress. Now imagine preparing to rest for the night. You turn off the lights and sit quietly for a moment. You might say, "I'm grateful for the progress I made today." Repeat slowly, "I'm grateful for the progress I made today." Shadowing gratitude sentences helps your brain understand emotional tone and reflection in spoken English. Now imagine thinking about the next day. You might say quietly, "Tomorrow will bring new opportunities to learn." Repeat gently, "Tomorrow will bring new opportunities to learn." Now, imagine the next morning arriving. Sunlight enters the room and a new day begins. You stretch gently and take a deep breath. You might say, "A new day always brings fresh energy." Repeat slowly, "A new day always brings fresh energy." You walk into the kitchen and begin preparing breakfast. Maybe coffee or tea and something simple to eat. You might say, "Starting the morning calmly helps me feel focused." Repeat gently, "Starting the morning calmly helps me feel focused." Shadowing sentences about morning routines helps reinforce vocabulary and patterns used very often in everyday conversations. Now imagine greeting someone early in the day, maybe a neighbor or coworker. They might say, "Good morning. I hope you have a wonderful day. Repeat slowly. Good morning. I hope you have a wonderful day. You might respond kindly. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day too. Repeat gently. Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day too. These polite exchanges appear constantly in daily communication, and practicing them through shadowing helps your ears recognize them quickly in real situations. Now let's practice a longer reflection passage together. Listen carefully and then repeat slowly afterward. Listening practice is one of the most powerful ways to improve your English. When you combine listening with shadowing, your brain begins to understand the rhythm and flow of the language more naturally. Now repeat slowly. Listening practice is one of the most powerful ways to improve your English. Yao. When you combine listening with shadowing, your brain begins to understand the rhythm and flow of the language more naturally. Passages like this help your brain follow longer explanations and ideas. Shadowing them strengthens your listening comprehension. Now imagine continuing your day with confidence. You might say quietly, I feel motivated to keep improving my English every day. Repeat gently. I feel motivated to keep improving my English every day. Shadowing positive motivational sentences helps reinforce a confident mindset toward learning. Now let's practice one final reflection passage together. Listen carefully and repeat slowly afterward. The journey of learning English becomes easier when you practice patiently and consistently. Every sentence you hear and repeat strengthens your listening ability and brings you closer to natural understanding. Now repeat slowly. The journey of learning English becomes easier when you practice patiently and consistently. Every sentence you hear and repeat strengthens your listening ability and brings you closer to natural understanding. Throughout this lesson, you have practiced many sentences describing everyday life, simple conversations, quiet reflections, and thoughts about learning. Every sentence you listened to and repeated helped your brain become more comfortable with the sound of English. Listening improvement happens gradually through repetition and patience. Each moment of practice strengthens your ability to recognize familiar sounds and phrases. And over time, English begins to feel clearer and easier to understand. Continue listening carefully. Repeat sentences slowly, and allow the rhythm of English to become natural to your ears. Because every moment of shadowing practice helps your brain build stronger connections with the language. And with time, these connections allow you to understand English conversations more comfortably and confidently. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I truly appreciate that you chose to practice your English listening and speaking with me. Learning a language requires patience, consistency, and courage. And by staying here and practicing through this entire lesson, you have already taken an important step forward in your English journey. Today, you listened carefully. You repeated many sentences. And you allowed your ears to become more familiar with the rhythm of natural English. Shadowing practice may feel simple, but it is one of the most powerful ways to improve your listening and speaking at the same time. Every sentence you practiced helped your brain build stronger connections with the language. Remember that improvement in English does not happen overnight. It grows little by little through daily practice. Even a few minutes of listening and repeating each day can slowly transform the way you understand and speak English. The key is consistency. The more you listen, the more familiar English will become to your ears, and the more confident you will feel when speaking. If you enjoyed practicing like this today, keep returning to lessons like this and continue training your ears with shadowing practice. Over time, you will notice that conversations become easier to understand. Sentences begin to feel natural, and your confidence grows step by step. Thank you again for learning with me today. I'm really proud of the effort you are making. And I hope you continue practicing English with patience and curiosity. Keep listening, keep repeating, and most importantly, keep believing in your progress. Because every small practice brings you closer to fluent and confident English. Take care. Keep learning. And I'll see you again very soon.